I agree. It almost feels like last week them losing did free them up to make this decision. Like
Yeah.
it made it abundantly obvious that it's like, hey, just rest your guys. All right, welcome back to the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel. We're here in the Connors and Ferris podcast studio. Mike Catalana, I am Jenna Cottrell. Dan Fates working on his best bets, so he will not be joining us. But you are watching The League presented by Stellar Roofing, Windows, and Siding. We're going to get into where the Bills are at heading into the finale at Highmark Stadium. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share as well. We're also going to talk playoff picture, the AFC, what it all looks like, how it all breaks down as we head into the final week of the regular season. But first, Michael, you were not on our earlier podcast this week between Dan and I discussing the Bills-Jets game. Where do you think this Bills team is at heading into Sunday?
I said before that I thought it is a blessing in disguise that they lost. I don't think it's going to change much with their playoffs and their playoff seeding. And you don't even know, we'll talk about the seeding too and who they could play. But you now get the ability to rest your players. I would have Josh Allen do his come out, take a snap, smile at everybody, and run off the field. The man has an issue with his foot. However bad everybody says it is, you know what'll make it better? Doing nothing this week.
Nothing.
Did not practice on Thursday.
Yes.
Let him take the week off. Let Mitch play. Let Josh be the emergency backup second guy. I don't care. You know, put Ray Davis in at quarterback later in this game. I really don't care. I don't buy any of this. Go out a few series. First of all, you're playing the Jets, so it doesn't count.
Mm-hmm.
People are putting up insane numbers against the Jets. Great. You want for stats? I don't think I think Josh Allen is past that in his career.
I agree.
For everybody else, I want Deion to rest. I want Spencer Brown to rest.
Mm-hmm.
I want as many guys that have put in so many snaps this year. Hey, your goal was to get Joey Bosa healthy for the playoffs. He's healthy. Joey ain't playing, in my mind.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you got him to this point. There's certain players, I just give them the time off as best you can. Some guys have incentives for money, or James Cook to win the rushing title. I'd love to see James Cook sit out this game.
I would love to see that too. I don't know if that will be the case. Now, on Thursday, when we were recording this podcast, James Cook did not practice today. That was a veteran rest day. I do want to mention Joey Bosa is on the injury report with a hamstring injury. He did not practice on Thursday. He also did not practice on Wednesday. But I agree with you.
He always has a hamstring injury, right? No, I mean, Bosa's had some of that stuff. I think he'll be fine.
I agree.
I just let him feel a little bit better.
I agree. He's an older player. He has dealt with injuries before. He shouldn't be out there on Sunday. And I don't expect him to be. I think that's a very easy choice. I agree with you. Deion Dawkins, Spencer Brown also. And Josh, I am completely comfortable with having him take the snap to have this, starting streak continue on and then have him on the sidelines with his ball cap on.
You made a good point before we got started. And I don't know if you had said it in the last video, but this is not like the preseason where you haven't had that much time together and you think, oh, they need this going into the year. They played a lot of football. Josh is taking a lot of snaps.
That's how I feel. And I know some people are talking about hey, get him like a series or two. And to me, it's like, I don't really get what the point is because they've been playing so much football and you're also playing against a Jets team that we know it's kind of been the laughing stock of the league these last couple of
Did I read that the Jets secondary has 0 interceptions?
0 interceptions this season.
That's tough to do.
It's honestly pretty. It's
impressive.
It is impressive.
Considering their head coach was a defensive back.
Also that. But yeah, no, I agree. I think that to me, it seems pretty cut and dry. And I was talking about this on the other podcast that I did with Dan of just there's a saying that Mr. Mike Catalana taught me a long time ago, and that's do what you need to do now so you can do what you want to do later. And in my opinion, I look at this Bills situation with Josh Allen as just that. Do you want Josh Allen to play? Of course, I get it. You want him to get his 40th touchdown, all that stuff. But right now, what you need is a healthy quarterback going into the postseason. So do what you need to do now. It might not be, the flashiest decision, but that way you ensure that down the line, you're where you want to be at.
Yeah. You know, it's funny when you will reference one of my sayings, I then start to listen and I think, I think, oh, I did say that. And then I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. I don't know. I've said it so many times, and Jenna knows this. I've said it to my daughters many, many, many times who are Jenna's age.
Yeah.
That this is the way we talk. This is the way it was. Like, hey, do this so you can do that. And it just applies to so many things in life.
So many things.
And so you say, yes, would it be great? And I know it's the last game in HIGHMARK and all that. Guess what? Josh Allen's going to be there. And my guess, knowing Josh Allen, he'll do something big for the fan, whatever. Maybe he runs around the stadium, slaps hands. I don't know what he'll do,
Yeah.
right? Something like that. If you're a Bills fan, what you mostly want to see is what you said. Josh with the ball cap on. Healthy. We all would love to watch him play. You're going to get to see him play the next week. You're going to probably be watching it. Well, you'll be watching it, most people, on television.
Yeah.
Man's got to be healthy for this. And Jenna, the way these playoffs have worked out, the teams they could face all need to play their people this week.
I was thinking about that.
You know, Jacksonville's going to play their people. They got to win the division. Houston needs to win because they don't know what's going to happen.
Yep.
You know, you think about that. Both teams, obviously, in the North, it's either Pittsburgh or Baltimore. Play that game.
I'm expecting that game to be really intense considering the circumstances.
And New England does too, to hold on to that 2 seed.
Yeah.
The 2 seed guarantees you 2 home games. If you obviously got to win the first, but you know, you're scheduled for 2. So they're all going to play their guys.
I agree. It almost feels like last week them losing did free them up to make this decision. Like it made it abundantly obvious that it's like, hey, just rest your guys. You don't have to, like, the seeding situation. You're either going to be 5, 6, or 7, depending on how it all shakes out. But either way, you're like, I have the ability now to rest the guys that I need to.
And what's wild about that is the idea of, before it was like, got to be the 5 because you're going to get Pittsburgh was the thought. And it may still be Pittsburgh. Problem is, you're not going to know that when you're playing football because that's a Sunday night game now. So it ends up being more like, okay, great, it's Pittsburgh because the Bills had just gone there and won. Not so great, it's Baltimore and Lamar is back.
Yeah.
So the idea of getting the 5 could be beneficial, could be a bad matchup.
Also, credit to the Steelers. They've been playing. I mean, they lost to the Browns, so I guess they're in this position because their lack of execution. But as of, I would say, the last month, they had been trending better than where they were at when the Bills played them right after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I'm just saying this. You can't control who you're going to play. We think we know where it's probably going to go.
Yeah.
But you won't know that for sure.
Well, let's talk about matchups because I can't believe real quick before we talk playoffs. I feel like this season flew by. Do you agree with that? I know every year it feels like it's like, wow, I can't believe it's week 18. But to me, I'm like, wow, I cannot believe it is week 18.
I'll make a comparison to something else that takes time, and that would be a vacation. So you travel on a vacation. Say you're going to the beach somewhere. Say you're going for a week, and you get down there. And you get that first day and you're excited and you're there. You do a bunch of stuff. And then you get up the next morning and you go, oh my God, we have like
so
6
much
days
time
left.
Yeah.
And then days 3, 4, 5 go so fast.
Yeah.
And
you're
all
like,
of a sudden
damn.
you're getting the notification for your flight.
Yeah.
You're like, where did the time go?
Truly.
It does go that way. Beginning of the season, sometimes it's like the wild Baltimore game to start. 4-0, New England. It's like, oh my God, we're only in October. And now here we are.
I know.
By the way, we just did that exact same time.
Yeah, that's crazy. We've worked together for too long. It'll be a decade in February. God. Isn't that insane?
I hired
Talk
her.
about the time going fast.
I hired her and thought maybe let's put up with her for a couple
of years.
I
was looking back at some of my like old stuff, just like with the stadium being the last game, like some of the earlier stuff that I did in that stadium. So bad. So bad. Like you really hung in there with me.
I met you when you were working in Elmira. You came to the stadium and you violated a rule.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I wasn't supposed. I didn't know any better. I had no idea, but to shoot a game, you have to be wearing a vest. Those beautiful beige vests that we talk about. They go with every outfit.
Yeah.
I didn't have a vest, but I was on the field because I was credentialed.
And
so
they're
I
up in the press box going, get her off.
Who the is that? That is true. That is in fact accurate.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I was like, I can't hire
You know
her.
me, rule breaker. Like I was appalled that I did that. Okay.
Well, what you were saying is about going to the game, and that was your first game covering
Yeah.
The game in
Well, technically, actually, Dan and I went to a couple games when we worked in Elmira. We drove up. But I vividly remember what year was this? This
Well,
must
wait
have
a
been
minute.
like 2015. Hold on.
You were
2015.
in Elmira when I saw you at the game.
Yes. Yeah. It must
When
have
you
been.
violated the rule.
Yes. So it must have been that.
Yeah.
So I remember, though, this is, and Dan he's not here, so he can't say this, but so we were supposed to go. The Bills played the Jets, and we were credentialed for the season. And I remember it was like a Friday, and I was like, "Hey, Dan, like we're gonna go to the game on Sunday, right?" And Dan was like, "Nah, I got plans," so we didn't go. But us being like 24 years old, not knowing any better, we don't show up. And then the next week, the Bills are like, "No, you can't come to another game. You were credentialed to show up, and you didn't." So no, you don't get to come to another game. And we were both like, what? Like, what? No idea.
Weren't you the boss then?
Oh, yeah. Let's be real. Dan called all the shots. I was kind of like, I don't know what's going on.
So I was trying to think. I told you guys about my first game there was they played the Vikings, and I was down on the field. I just watched the highlights of the Eagles game against the Bills, which was an incredible game. That was an incredible game. My first one, I thought in my mind it was an incredible game. I looked back at the highlights a little while ago. The game sucked. Bunch of punts. I mean, the Bills won. It was a good game for the Bills, but it was a boring game. When they played the Eagles, crazy game with Randall Cunningham throwing the ball in the play. There's a play where Randall Cunningham takes off down the sidelines. I'm on the sidelines of the game. My photographer was Carl Schuba shooting the game. I'm on the sidelines with my father, Carmen.
That's awesome.
He's down there with me. And you see me in the distance as Randall Cunningham is running by. He made a long run. I am pulling my dad out of the way because he's standing there watching it like you're watching TV. And
you're like, you got to get out of the way.
He's going to run you over.
That's really funny.
And I was looking at it. Was a nice feeling to see my dad in that video.
I love that.
And I know it's me. I remember. I have video from our photographer shooting it from behind, and you can see me in the distance just pulling him out of the way.
I need to see that. I haven't seen that.
I'll show you the video.
That's really good.
It was just something, but that was how many games. I mean, I didn't know, starting there. I have probably covered, I was trying to think, because I did the preseason games.
You did
and I
a
was
lot
on the field. I bet you home games, 30, I bet you home games, it's about, I'll say in a safe number, it's well over 300.
Yeah.
It's 350 plus.
Wild.
It wasn't like, there was times it was just a different world back then. There were times we were covering other things.
Yeah.
Especially when they were bad. We would send somebody, but it wasn't always the same people. But I went to the vast, vast majority of them. And so it's probably 350, 375.
You were in, the Bills put out an awesome 45-minute kind of look at the stadium at HIGHMARK, what the home of the Bills for the last 53 years. You were in it.
Yeah, yeah.
That was really cool.
I make these videos when I don't know it.
I gotta say, you kind of look like Van Miller.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, Van Miller was like 25 years older than me.
Well, I'm not saying I'm not saying you look identical to him, but I'm like, I looked at him and I was like, wow, you know what? Mike kind of looks like him.
By the way,
in the comments, let me know.
Jenna is not misspeaking. In case you're a very young fan who don't know, she's not talking about Von Miller. She's talking about Van Miller,
definitely
the play-by-play guy of the Bills. Awesome, Van Miller.
But like when he's like younger,
look at this.
I could definitely, I see it. Maybe like the hair. I don't know.
It's the hair. The style.
I see it. Not Von Miller. Definitely not.
Yeah. So they used me saying, I was talking about Ralph Wilson passing away.
Yeah.
And I was watching it kind of passively. I was watching some of it, and then I hear something, and I go, "Oh, it sounds like me." And I looked at him, and was like, "Oh, there I am."
Yeah.
Yeah. I made
29-minute mark, I think.
I make the Peyton Manning one.
Yes.
And then about hockey, and then we have Netflix or NFL Films come to the house for 2 hours. They don't use a second. You guys.
You're not salty about it at all.
Well, no, it's just funny. I'm in these things that and by the way, nobody contacts me. I
always wonder, I'm like, where do they get that stuff from?
I don't know. I'm just all over the internet, I guess.
Yeah, you're viral. There's that.
Anyhow.
Okay, so tangent done.
Yeah.
Let's talk matchups as we look ahead to the postseason.
You know a lot about the Patriots, Bills fans. We just saw them, right? The Bills played, I think, their worst half based on what the game was, the worst half of football, because you could say like Atlanta, whatever,
Mhm.
and then the best half
Yeah.
when they played New England. So it's there for them against New England. I like the matchup with them against New England. And by the way, a brief aside, I don't know what's going to happen with Stephon Diggs. There is a commissioner's list for this type of thing where they put the player aside and they don't play. I would have thought if that was the case, it would have happened already.
That's what I think too.
So I don't know if there's going to be anything.
I wonder more about Christian Barmore. While the incident happened in August, I think there's more physical evidence. That's my indication.
Yeah.
And maybe that plays into being
and
on
somebody was
the
comparing it
commissioner's
to
list.
Rashee Rice, but these are physical altercations with other people who press the charges, not like a police chase and or with whatever's a car. I'm trying to remember exactly what Rice's was. So anyhow, regardless of that, I thought that maybe, and that would be very impactful to the Patriots if he can't play. Because Mac Hollins is on the IR.
Yes.
And Mac has been an important player for them. But you know that Patriots team, and Milton Williams will be back, and you know, so
I think my thoughts on the matchup is, yes, you know the team well. I think for the Patriots, they won the division this year. I think if you're the Bills going into Foxborough, you want to send the message of, yeah, you might have won the division, but we own it. Then I think you have the ability to do that. I think if you're the Patriots, you want to get that bad taste of losing to the Bills out of your mouth. But I do feel comfortable with that matchup. And I think one of the things when I look at the playoffs just in general, the Bills have a ton of postseason experience as compared to a lot of these other teams. And I think that could work in your favor. Like the Patriots, I think Drake May, still a younger guy. Like just when the lights are the brightest, how will a player react? So there's that to me is like, okay, that's a check mark for the Bills going into the postseason.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I guess I look at for the Patriots. You're right. They did win the division, fully deserved it. They had the better record by a couple of games and they win it. But if the Bills go there and beat them in playoff game number 1.
Yeah, the division doesn't matter.
Yeah, you ain't hanging that banner because it would be, that's tough to win the division, beat that team, and then lose to them in the playoffs.
And would have lost twice to them.
Yes, both at home.
Well, to me, it's like, there's so many teams that I'm like, is this fool's gold? Like even Denver, I'm like, is this, they've obviously have a great record.
They win a lot.
They win a lot of games, but there's always close games, and it feels like they're always playing with fire.
New England, to their credit, when they've played, they have blown some teams out.
They have, yeah.
But when they played the Bills, I mean, I think Bills fans would feel this way. Bills, they played tough, they played hard. New England did in Orchard Park. But the Bills handed them the game with the turnovers, right? And again, that happens.
And it was still a 3-point game, but
right,
yes.
But they did. Second time they play them, New England is running them down. And the Bills, I said, they played their best half of football all season.
Truly.
And so if you're New England, I don't think you want the Bills coming in.
I don't think you want the Bills coming in. I don't think any team wants to see the Bills.
Right. Because of Josh Allen and because,
James Cook.
And the way the defense
has been playing better. Okay, yeah.
So we'll see if that ends up, again, they should end up as the 2 seed, right? If they beat Miami, they're the 2 seed.
Yes. You know what's so interesting about this season though? The AFC, it does really feel like it's wide open, but also like this Bills team, I don't expect them to be one and done, but also if it were to go that way, I'd be like,
I think there's so many teams in this year's playoff that you say, I think they could go to the Super Bowl or be done in the first week.
Honestly, everyone in the AFC.
Yeah, and even when you look at the NFC, outside of the probably the Carolina, Tampa one, and I guess Green Bay is a little beaten up. I mean, they are pretty beaten up, but they have been a playoff team. I think everybody else in the NFC, you could say, lose week 1, go all the way to the Super Bowl.
Truly,
right?
It's just a weird year and how open it does truly feel.
I think the team I wanted to talk about was the Jags,
and
they are an easy team to sort of dismiss. Only because we don't really see them.
Yeah.
And the Bills didn't play them because Bills played everybody else. They could be playing Houston. Saw them.
Mm-hmm.
Could be playing Baltimore.
Yep.
Saw them. Steelers. Saw them.
Yeah. Patriots.
Yeah. I think there is a way if Denver were to lose, they could drop to the 2, or they would drop to the, I don't know, whatever they drop to, the
Depends.
3.
Yeah.
Right. And then the Bills could play them, but I think they're expected to win because I think
Yeah. Herbert's
not going to play,
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
Chargers and all. So I guess the Chargers would be a tough team to see go all the way to the Super Bowl, but because their offensive line, but I guess you never know how it plays out. But Jacksonville, you think of Trevor Lawrence, and he's been good, very
Yeah.
good recently. His wide receivers, Parker Washington has been really good for them.
Mhm.
Brian Thomas is been a little better. His
Mhm.
numbers are underwhelming. He didn't do much. He hasn't had a 100-yard game all year. But their numbers for their wide receivers, like Washington's got 760. Jacoby Myers, who they just re-signed, 791 yards. Like, they have mixed it around on offense. It's their defense. Since week 11, the Jags defense has given up 15 points a game, best
Wow.
in the NFL. 80 yards rushing, best in the NFL. Total yards per game, 277, fifth best in the NFL. They have 13 turnovers since week 11. They have 21 interceptions.
Oh my gosh.
Team record that the Jags have set. They're on the year, 5th against the run, 86 yards a game. Liam Cohn's the head coach. He stood next to Sean McVay, but he coached there and was an OC for them.
Yeah.
And he has gotten a lot more. Trevor Lawrence, I'm not saying he looks like the number 1 overall pick, which he was, but he looks a lot better, and he looks confident, and he's got legs too to run, and that can hurt teams. He's got the ability. He was run a lot in the last 2 playoff games, or two games. I looked it up. I thought I wrote it down. He's run the ball. What did I say? He's run the ball 14 times over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you'll see that from, as it gets late, the bigger the games, the quarterbacks will take off. So Jags are no joke, and they've played really well. And I think that atmosphere would be pretty electric for them down there.
Yeah.
In my least favorite city to go to, in a stadium I don't like, in a place where the Bills haven't played well.
Well, how much do you think that kind of plays into it? Also, you're going to hear people talk about the Bills are 0-5 in the playoffs on the road.
Good point. Yeah. Go ahead. Explain the 0-5.
So it was young Josh in Houston when they lost. And then the 4 other times have been against Kansas City.
3 other. Oh yeah. For the Bills under McDermott, it's 5 losses on the road.
Yeah.
3 in Kansas City, 1
in Houston.
And Sean McDermott lost in Jacksonville.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because
that's the game.
Under Sean.
Now look, I don't mean to make excuses.
That was Tyrod Taylor as their quarterback.
Yes.
Nate Peterman played in that game.
Yes, threw a pick too. But when you look at that game with that team, you say 3 times they lost to, but the Dynasty Chiefs. We know they were all painful. AFC Championship game, another AFC Championship game, and 13 seconds.
Yeah.
All painful. 2 of those 3 were right down to the end,
yes,
obviously.
And then 2020 was ahead of schedule.
Yeah. It was that Josh team. You should still watch those highlights. Crazy when he scores that first touchdown.
Yeah.
And he's going nuts on the pass from John Brown that he caught. So yeah, I find that it would be good for the Bills to get a road win. But yeah, it's the Chiefs.
Yeah. That's why I think that stats are like bikinis. They show you some, they don't show you all. But I think the context also is necessary in 0-5, McDermott with Tyrod Taylor, Josh Allen, young Josh Allen, sugar high Josh Allen.
First playoff game.
And then also the Chiefs.
Yeah, that was in overtime. And they lost a 13-second game at the end. I mean, it's like they lost.
I was going to say, we know how this works too. Like that is going to be a narrative until they win.
Yeah.
And so change it.
And they've been so good that their road games are in Kansas City for the championship.
Yeah.
Right. That's just the way it worked out. So anyhow.
Yeah. No, I agree. Jacksonville. So I do think that they would be a tough opponent. I do think some people are undermining their success just because I feel like a lot of people haven't really watched them that much just with how the schedule has gone out. But when they won against Denver, I was like, okay, that gets your attention. That was a nice win for them. And they looked in control in that game.
Yeah. They look well coached. They've played well at the biggest part of the season. So
yeah,
like you know what Houston is.
Okay.
Lethal defense.
Yeah. I want to hear your thoughts on Houston, Michael, because I know that the defense we know is exceptional, but I also think that there is opportunity against CJ Stroud.
Bills have played. If they were to play Houston, now it could be a matchup later as to wild cards,
Yeah.
which would be kind of crazy. But Houston could still win the division, and then the Bills could match up and go there. Josh has not played well in Houston. The Bills' offense hasn't been.
Mhm.
It is funny. I think about those games. Josh got hurt in a game there, played in a playoff game there that went to overtime, but got hurt in a game there that was close all the way to the end.
Mhm.
Played there with a horrendous game for him, 9 of 30, still had a chance at the end.
Yeah.
And then played in another game where he got hit 47 times, and they still had a chance at the end. That's because CJ Stroud isn't that good.
Yeah.
He's
Davis
an
Mills
okay
played
player.
last game, but yes. Davis Mills played last game.
You're right. Was Mills in that game?
Yes. But I hear what you're saying.
I'm talking about now they're going to play him. I watched him against the Chargers, and he had the 2 throws to the open guys.
Early on, I was like, oh, damn. And then I was like, oh, okay.
The rest of the game, they had every opportunity to put that game away, and it didn't happen. But that defense is legit.
Yeah.
That's
it felt
the
like
issue.
The Chargers, though, at moments were their own worst enemy. Like, I think the Texans defense was exceptional and is exceptional, but there were moments where I was like, the Chargers just felt like they couldn't get it together, even when they had a chance to.
They don't block in any form of football, not on kickoffs, not on extra points. Like, they don't block anybody. Their offensive line.
Bold strategy, Cotton.
Hey, give their quarterback the credit, man, Herbert, because he's a tough dude.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like he would be tough. He's got that LA,
yeah.
He got the hair going and the whole thing. He is a tough dude. He puts up with a lot of shit on that team because they beat him up.
Yeah. He was running for his life at moments.
Yeah. But anyhow, back to that. So that's the Texans, right? And then you got the Ravens. We know the Ravens. Problem is, if you play the Ravens, it's a night game in Baltimore. You know it.
And yeah, that scares me.
That's
Derrick
tough.
Henry already going off for 216
and he woke
yards.
up.
Yeah.
By the way, you'll be rooting against him on at least for yardage on Sunday night because he could catch and pass James Cook.
Yeah. What was I going to say? The one positive, if you're the Bills looking at the AFC North, is that I think that game will be an absolute grind. So you're hoping that you're going to be more fresh with the rest, but also that the other teams are just exhausted from, a heavyweight bout against one another for the title.
And we don't know when they'll match up and who they would. All I say is I would prepare for the first playoff game to be a night game.
Yeah, I think
Josh
that's fair.
Allen.
Yeah.
The networks, the league's going to want to put Josh on a night game. So
what do you expect to be the matchup? What do you think would be the best matchup?
I expect it to be Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
I think the best matchup for the Bills in the first round is the Patriots.
Yeah.
And I have respect for the Patriots, what they've done this year. I just think you're catching them in that first playoff game. You have already beaten them. You put a seed of doubt in them about the Bills. Doesn't mean they can't come out and be great and beat you and play like they did in the first half, but I think you did that. Drake May hasn't been here. By the way, Mike Vrabel, he hasn't played in that many. He hasn't won a playoff game since 2019. He's lost his last few.
Damn. It's a stat I haven't heard.
Yeah, he won 2 that second year, I think, when he was with the Titans.
Yeah.
And then they lost twice as the higher seed at home. Once was to the Ravens.
Yeah.
And and then he didn't make the playoffs. And now he's done a great job and gotten them there. But this is a lot of, if you're catching them when there is a lot of pressure on them because you put up this big number, Drake may win the MVP.
I want it to be Stafford.
So do I, but Stafford at least made a little comeback in the last game, but he had 3 interceptions in the game. So
no, I get it. I hate that sometimes it feels like a recency thing.
Yeah.
I just feel like for me.
And May had 5 touchdowns again against the Jets.
Yeah. A part of me is like, okay,
yeah,
you should do that. But they beat a bad team commandingly, and that's important. So I get it.
But in that case, I think the probable matchup is going to Jacksonville. God, you and I went there too.
Yeah.
For that playoff game.
That was cool because that was right after the Bills broke the drought. Obviously, that was the first playoff game. And the excitement, how many Bills fans we saw, and then the game was just so bad.
So I was thinking, I
bad.
covered a playoff game. Bills lost.
Mhm.
Then they went into the drought. You were like 7 years old. And I covered this team for all those years. And then when they finally made the
Wow.
playoffs, you went to the game with me.
That's crazy. Remember, it was 10-3.
Yeah.
That was the final score.
Yeah. Bills defense played really well.
They did, yeah.
Yeah.
I just remember.
Then that Jags team went out the next week and put up like 45 against the Steelers.
Yes.
And
yeah.
should have beaten New England to go to the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Yeah,
oh my gosh, that is wild.
It's been a while ago. White Claw grab of the week. And this is a guy who I think is going to get a lot of snaps on Sunday. Tyrell Shavers. That catch. First of all, I guess it could have been reviewed and taken away from him. It's a fantastic catch.
Amazing catch.
He went up and got it. Also got a pass interference call. It's what you like to see. Throw it up to him a little bit. So
Tyrell Shavers getting our White Claw grab of the week. He deserves it. Honestly, he has been so fun to watch this season.
Grab life by the claw for White Claw. We thank them for their help all year long.
Absolutely.
But I think that's what, again, Shaver's going to play a lot of snaps. There's going to be guys out there that haven't got maybe even a little White Steve in the game.
Oh my God,
who's going to play.
Steve Gosnell.
Because why not bring some of these guys up and let
he
them play?
existed. Yeah.
So
I shouldn't say I forgot he existed, but this could be his spot. Yeah. Essentially, it's like a preseason game.
Should be.
In terms of some of the players that will be on the field. I feel like, Buffalo Joe will get a lot of time out there. Joe Andreessen. I think that'll be a cool moment for him.
Coleman.
I think Keon will get some run.
I think he gets a lot of run.
I think he
plays a lot of snaps in this
I
game.
do too. That is going to be fascinating to watch this offseason, but we are obviously not there yet. All right, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching The League, presented by Stellar Roofing, Windows, and Siding. For Mike Catalana and Dan Fates, who's not here, I am Jenna Cottrell. We'll catch you next time here on the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel.